If you watch this video, you learn something about branching, else you don't. Here we go. Back again, I define two variables, say a is equal to 7, b is equal to -2, and now we want to do some branching, which means we talk about if statements, if-else statements, if-elif else statements, and so on. Good, let's get going. So the first thing I want to do is a simple if statement. So if a is larger than b, what should happen? I again use a colon here to close it. I do indentation, go into a block and just make a print statement, and you can just say something like a, let's do a formatted string here, should be an f, a is larger than b. And as expected, 7 is larger than -2. So what the if statement simply does is it checks the condition. If a condition is true, the next block will be executed, otherwise it's not executed. So obviously if we modify this, so for instance here if we bump this up a little bit, run this one more time, nothing happens. Yeah, nothing happens at all. If you want something to happen, you have to throw in an else statement. Yeah, and we do this down below. Just copy paste that and put an else statement. So we go back in terms of indentation, we do a further indentation. Here we have to say something. We just say here, print another formatted string maybe, where I could simply specify that a is smaller than b. That would do it. Good, let's run this one more time. So here we are. So we get 7 is smaller than 10. So that's pretty convincing. I can combine now more if statements. So for instance, I could also do the following. If a is equal to 7, I want to have another statement here where I, for instance, say something like a is equal to 7. Yeah, so that is not massively exciting. But basically what happens now is you go into the first if statement. The first if statement seems to be not true. You move to the second if statement. The second if statement is true and the else should not be printed. So let's see what happens. So you get indeed 7 is equal to 7. What is, what a surprise, isn't it? So again, the logic is you go into the first if statement is not true. You move into the second one, which is true, which means the else is not triggered. Yeah. So that's interesting to note. Now, apart from if and if-else, there is the elif, which is a different animal altogether. The elif is indeed an else-if. So the elif only executes and checks the condition if the first if statement here is false. Yeah? So in this case, it should not change my output. Let me just run it and nothing happens. It doesn't change because the first statement isn't true. So the else is triggered and then it goes into the elif statement. Yeah? But what if the first statement is true? Yeah? So for instance, if I say something like the following, put here a 5, what happens then? Now you only get then the first statement. Yeah? So 7 is larger than 5. And that means that the second elif statement is not checked because the first statement is true, hence there is no else if to be checked in this case. Now that is different from having two if statements. So if we do two if statements and we run this, you see that the first one is triggered because it's true, it moves to the second one, and it's also true and it is triggered because of that. Yeah, so be careful with the if and the else if. Again, if you use the elif, it means that you have to first go to the first if statement. Only if it's not true, this condition will be checked. Good, I see you in the next one.